Looks like we're starting the show today with Anthony Weiner and Jesse Waters from Fox. Go, folks.
I mean, they're big agencies. Some of them took cuts. Education took cuts. A lot of things took cuts.
Yeah, but crime's up. It's crazy out here. Would you go in the subway here?
Crime is actually down in New York.
Well, it's down.
Crime is actually down in New York. The economy is actually great. There's no evidence that Hunter or Joe Biden has done anything wrong, folks. The world is entirely upside down. Welcome to GAMcast for September 14th, 2023. I think almost 30 days since we broadcast. I was on, well, actually I wasn't on vacation. I still worked. But I was out of the country working and taking classes, Spanish classes. So I thought about broadcasting over there, but I wasn't, frankly, I was just too busy for reasons I might explain as the show goes on. But anyway, welcome to GAMcast, where we bring you up to speed on all the news of the day through the lens of the law, the Constitution, and histoire. Going to be a short one today. I wasn't sure I was going to broadcast this week. I just got back the day before yesterday. I'm fully recovered from jet lag, but I have not had a chance to practice or get back up to speed. So this will be more along the lines of the demo, the folks who know about the demos. A lot of people actually prefer the demos. You may like this. We shall see. So anyway, being out of the country isn't what it used to be, folks. It's interesting. It's amazing how literally the American experience pervades just about everything under the sun out there. And so, unfortunately, you can't get away. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I thought while I was away, part of, I think, the reason for that is they want to make the world a smaller place, and not in a good way. They want to bring all of us into this uniparty, this unity government. And one of the ways they get there, some of it's subtle, some of it's over the top. This one I want to start the show with Jesse Waters and Anthony Weiner. Like, why is Anthony Weiner even in the news? I mean, if I recall correctly, he's the boyfriend/husband of Huma Abedin, who worked for Hillary Clinton, and he had the laptop and all this other crap that had a bunch of weird stuff on the laptop. And this is just bizarro world that we live in. And when you think about it, how in the world does somebody like that get to a platform like Jesse Waters got to? And then you can back, why is Jesse Waters in the news? I'm not knocking Jesse Waters. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch cable news. You know that. But it is what it is. It's fine if you want to have that. But these are people that back in the day we never would have had out there. And so they come on and it's entertainment, and that's all it is. And politics shouldn't be entertainment. It really should be boring. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because it kind of sets the tone of the few things that we're going to talk about today. And we'll see how much I can get to on. Again, I think it's going to be a shorter show. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 7 windows. So I should be able to get through 7 windows in 20 minutes. I will be broadcasting tomorrow, so probably a little bit longer show tomorrow. I'm a little bit more back into my routine. So here what does he do? He deadpans, well, actually crime is down. Well, by what measure? Now, anybody who hears these people talking, oh, it's crazy out there, there's crime everywhere, crime is down. Well, okay. If last year crime was at 100, right, whereas crime is supposed to be at a baseline 0. Last year was at 100, and we brought it down to 90. Well, yeah, I suppose it's down from 100 to 90, but are we supposed to be celebrating that when it's supposed to be at 0? And they do that with everything. And the reason they can get away with it is the whole system is broken. I mean, I could have pulled on the old Al Pacino thing, and, this whole court is out of order, this whole system's out of order. But that's exactly what's happened here. We're going to continue with the conversation, and you'll see Jesse tries as best he can to correct this in real time, but it's uncorrectable. It's uncorrectable in real time because people aren't going to let you talk. They're going to talk after you. They're going to say nonsensical things, and you can get away with this ad infinitum unless people stop and say, hey, wait a minute. You lied to me last week or the week before, or you told me something that was untrue. I don't trust you anymore. So now when you say something, I'm not just going to accept it. But you see, our system of spray whatever you want, say this, throw something out into the environment. If it gets debunked, I'll just throw something else out. And it's just like throwing, chum in the water, and so the sharks are going to just keep swirling. But anyway, take a listen to this, and we'll move on to a couple other stories.
From what, last year, which was almost an all-time high?
You think Rudy Giuliani did a good job?
And see, notice how, again, you have to have a little bit of a brain and a memory to know what he's saying there. Okay, well, last year was 100. He brought it down to 90. He's still 90 above what is supposed to be the baseline of 0, right? So what does he do? He does the old trick, Anthony Weiner. He comes in here and he goes, oh, what about this?
Decent jobs.
Yeah, Giuliani. So crime is lower now than it was then. I mean, I remember the only reason Giuliani, a Republican, got elected in New York is because it was so bad people couldn't stand it. So it's the same point. But again, he jumps around.
Where he came in
It's
from.
40% lower than it was in the year he
Yeah,
left.
but it was so low when everything was coming up. And then in 2020, 2021, 2022, this year, things aren't good, Anthony.
So anyway, so
I mean, they're big agencies. Some
there's
of them,
there's not any more of that clip, unfortunately, but you get the point. And so here's the funny thing, though. What I don't understand, and what we've learned in the last couple of years, is that they can continue to do this, and they will continue to do this, right? Because think about that. You're a New Yorker. Okay, you're naturally on Anthony Weiner's side because he's a Democrat, and even though you should be saying, why is he on TV again? I mean, this guy's not a Politico. He's nobody. Why does he? But whatever, let's set that aside. Then he's sitting here going, oh, it's all fine. You have to live in that. And for somebody who lives in a blue city, folks, this stuff is not pleasant. I mean, not pleasant at all. I mean, you're seeing the degradation of the society in real time. I mean, I got back from the airport, and it's amazing. So Atlanta, I've been going to this airport since I got here. I guess I've been here 26 years, right? So I'm going to this airport for 26 years. New thing in this last about a year or two or something, they now have cops out there. Now, what in the world do we need cops for? Trust me, I've been going to this airport. I've never seen any violence out there. I've never seen long lines that just exist forever. I've never seen really any need for cops. But apparently they decided they need cops. And not just a few cops. I'm talking about for, say, a stretch of 1,000 yards, you've probably got 10 cops. And all the cops do is order around, and people, and I saw like 2 or 3 altercations with citizens because they're rude. They're not very polite. And they're doing really nothing. I mean, the cars understand get up, get out, but they're doing that. And all they're just doing is standing around and pointing people in different directions. I, as a citizen of Fulton County, I'm sort of mortified because I'm paying for these guys. And you'd think I'm not trying to be sexist. I mean, there are a few women, but it's mainly men. You know, same thing. You come in, and now we have people inside where the luggage comes in, and this person sits there and turns the luggage up. Again, I've been all around the world. This year I've been on 3 international trips. I mean, nobody does that. You don't need to do it. The citizens are just fine. I mean, I've never seen a problem where people can't get bags. We're hiring kids to do that. Okay, fine. I guess if you just got enough money and you got to spend it somewhere, you got to spend it somewhere. And I'm not blaming the kids. But I am telling you this. I got off of a small, I forget what the ones are now, the Airbuses that they come over. It's not that big of a plane coming from Amsterdam. And it took me, I kid you not, 45 minutes, and I'm Sky Priority, so mine are supposed to come off first. Now, I'm not blaming Delta. It's not Delta's fault. It's the airport's fault. So whoever it is supposed to pick up these bags isn't doing it in a timely fashion and isn't doing it correctly. The Sky Priority is supposed to come off first, and they don't. I mean, there were people I wasn't the only one. I mean, there were a lot of us that waited, and apparently it took like, I don't know, 3 or 4 trips. Apparently. But anyway, it's just sort of astounding because I got there and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to beat all the traffic. It's going to be great. And 45 minutes later, I'm right in the thick of Atlanta traffic. Anyway, I tell you all this to say this. That is just the systemic breakdown in work ethic, breakdown in accountability. I couldn't find anybody to even just say, hey, I mean, what's going on? I mean, with the first bags came out like 45 minutes ago, but which was about 15 minutes after we got off the plane, which is typical for Atlanta. And now here we are 44 minutes later, and not just me, but other people don't have their bags. Like, what's going on? There's nobody to do that. And you're going to see that more and more and more in these blue cities. They're just going to keep getting worse. Crime's going to keep getting worse because the feedback loop, there's no way to fix it. Anyway, so just so in case you didn't know, this happens everywhere, not just at the airport, not just on crime in New York. Here's Paul Krugman, and you have to know a little bit of history about Krugman. Krugman won the Nobel Prize. I can't remember I used to know what his theory was and why he won the Nobel Prize. It doesn't matter, whatever it was. But he was one of these first people, probably 25 years ago, that came out, got a little fame, and then decided, hey, I'm going to blurt out my politics to you. And I remember at the time thinking, Paul, yeah, you apparently know some stuff about the economy, but I don't give a blip what you think about the Republican Party. He hates the Republicans, by the way. Everything is the Republicans' fault. I mean, the devil, the Republicans, Trump and Hitler are responsible for all the bad stuff in the world. Basically, his worldview, you know. And he's doesn't even try to hide it. In fact, I remember at one point there was this article in the New York Times or something where he was in there and he was basically boasting that he sits in there and writes, and his wife was over shoulder going, more about how evil the Republicans are and how evil the Republicans are. But anyway, here he is years later. They bring this fossil out to explain to the morons how good the economy is. And I want you to listen to this language, folks. And this is a tell here, okay? Anytime you ever try a case, and we're going to be covering the Trump trials and all these things when they come up, you can spot a liar a mile away. All right, I for one think Trump is going to do okay in Fulton County because the jury pool is not going to be as bad as people think, and you can't pull this crap that you can pull out there in a courtroom. Now they're going to mock it up just like the OJ trial, and it's not going to be a real trial. It's going to be a pseudo trial. But I think even then, there's enough of the rules that they can't trash that liars are going to be spotted for lying. But anyway, so here's a good example of a liar who just lies for lying. One of the things they'll do is they'll be over the top, hyperbolic, and they'll lie when the truth would do. Or they'll make just strange words when the simple ones would do. Take a listen to him talking to Christine Amanpour, another person who pretends to be not something they are, a rabid Democrat. But anyway, take a listen.
The striking thing, if you look at it, is not just, the economic data have been surreally good. I mean, even optimists are just stunned by how quickly and how painlessly inflation has come down.
Now, again, so there you go. Even the optimists are stunned. It's been surreally good. I don't even know what's surreally good. I've never even heard that until he said that. I mean, it's just insane. So this is him. And why is he lying, over the top lying? Because he knows the truth, right? So he has to sort of, he can't just come out and say this counter idea. He's got to just pile onto it. This should make you recoil. And he does. And by the way, it's been painless. Has it been painless for you? I mean, look, I'm in a situation where I make enough money, I really don't have to worry about day-to-day things anymore. But I used to, and if you've ever been there, if you've ever been broke, and I have been, you know what it's like. There's a lot of pain out there for a lot of people. But he's telling us it's been painful. He's been painless, right? And again, one of the things that's fascinating about this is I remember when it started, and I do think we're getting closer. For the first time in a long time, I feel like we're getting closer to the bottom of this. And for reasons that I'm about to tell you about, the reason I think we're getting closer to the bottom of it, right? But anyway, let's listen to a little bit more Krugman and just listen. This is a person who obviously doesn't care that he knows, everyone knows they're lying. He has to do it anyway, right? I think they've gone a little too far here, but let's listen to a little bit more.
No hint of a recession, at least so far. Never know, but no so far. Inflation, not too far from the target of 2% and under 3% by most measures, and all of that just achieved painlessly. So this is great. This is a Goldilocks economy.
Okay, it's the Goldilocks economy again. One really a Goldilocks? I don't even know what that means. What Goldilocks? What does this got to do with soup and bears? What is she talking about? What is he talking about? And by the way, again, this is just demagoguery. I mean, it's by all measures it's 3. Well, we all know what they claim it should be is 2%. Which, by the way, I don't get that. I mean, remember the rule of 72, right? You divide the number into 72, and you'll see how long it takes your money to double. So, right, if you get 2% interest at a bank account, it'll take it 36 years for your money to double, right? 2 into 72, da-da-da-da. So I always sort of, to me, when they said, well, 2% is about what we want, 2% is great. Like, no, because that means every 36 years, my money's worth half of what it's worth. I'm not a moron. 2% is not good. How about 0 is good? But for whatever reason, they have bought into the idea, folks, that the ship has sailed. 2% is the target. Well, riddle me this, Batman. If we're at 3, that means we're 50% worse than the target. That's awful, okay? Awful, right? If a football team wins 12 games to make the playoffs in the NFL, that's about what you need to do it, right? 12, and you lose 50% more games, you win 6. You don't even come close to making the playoffs, right? But again, this is the point of why I think is that he's saying it's all painless, he's saying all this stuff, and these people are getting together and saying these ridiculous things, right? There's no reason for them to do it, right? There's no reason for them to go hyperbolically over the top on something like this. In the old days, what you would have seen from people like Krugman is for him to come on and spew his lies for a few minutes, and he wouldn't feel the need to say things like, from fairy tales, literal children's fairy tales, right? And I think what you're seeing here is you're starting to see the tells of like, wait a minute, you know what? This is too far. Right? I mean, this is just too far. Something is going on with our system, and we just can't keep this going. Okay? So one more thing before we get to some of the sort of typical news. I don't typically do news, as you know. But anyway, so I saw this. It came up on my feed this morning, which is hilarious. So this is Kathy Griffin. Again, why we care about Kathy Griffin in politics, I'll never know. But apparently people do. So people care about Kathy Griffin. And so the reason this caught my eye was I had seen the Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis video while I was out of the country. And in fact, let me go to that before we talk about Kathy Griffin, because I was just blown away when this came from my Twitter feed. I don't know if you know, you ever saw the show called That 70s Show. Anyway, the guy who played Hyde, I had no idea, apparently was not Seventh-day Adventist, what is that thing called? I forget what the church is, but the same one that Tom Cruise is in. Doesn't matter, whatever it is, okay? He's in this church. And apparently, he used his position as a high-up person and an actor in that church to rape a couple of women. And I'm not just talking about the old, fake rape like the accused Trump of, or, some sort of, coddling that people don't. I mean, I'm talking, according to this, some of the stuff was really graphic with a gun and a bunch of other stuff. So apparently, I don't know, again, I don't know if he did or not. I'm not admitting it, God knows. But apparently, he was found guilty, and he asked his friends, which obviously included people that were on the show with him, on That 70s Show. I forget what Ashton Kutcher played, and I forget what Mila Kunis played. But anyway, they played characters on the show, if you remember. And they said, the family, well, in fact, let's just listen to them. You listen to it. And I want you, while you're listening, I want you to, if you hear anything here that sounds to you improper, or something they shouldn't done, or something that's just not just good, decent human being, I want you to listen to that. A, listen to see if there's something in there that they're doing wrong. And then B, I want you to listen to them as they're talking. And I want you to imagine that they are kidnapped people who are on video talking about the kidnapping, and see if this isn't spot on.
Pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years, so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read, and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or reach homicize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse.
All right, now, folks, let's go through this again. All right, I'm just horrified by this. This came out a couple weeks ago. I can't remember. But I was literally sitting in Spain just horrified. I mean, it's like, what in the world? That we have a whole system, and I want you to understand this. We have a whole system that's been built on thousands of years of Western civilization. The Americans, founders, largely perfected the system. We have a wonderful system, okay? The person has been found guilty. They are now going to be sentenced. The judge in the system says, hey, anybody that wants to speak on behalf and give me some information so I can sentence this person, okay, under our system. And these people apparently said, oh, well, you're asking what I know about this person for 25 years? Well, I'm prepared to do it in an affidavit, and here it is. I mean, what in the world could possibly be wrong with that? Nothing. And that's why the system is going after people like this. And they're doing this not just on the jury system, the lawfare that you see, the whole complete rigging of the Trump system. We now have a fascist show trial. There's 4 of them. There's going to be 6 or 7 by the time they're finished, right? They're doing the same thing. You can now sue Fox News, and that was nothing but a rig job just to punish Fox News for going against the system. You can do it to Alex Jones. By the way, I mean, anybody with a brain knows, first it's Trump, then it's Alex Jones, then it's me and you. I mean, you can see this coming like a freight train barreling down. But let's go through it bit by bit. Run it again. Here we go from the top. Let me see if maybe I got to refresh it, see if that works. Come on. All right. Boom.
The character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically.
Okay, who said anything about victims? You were asked to write letters about this man Masterson that you knew for 25 years, and you did so. Who? Okay, what does this got to do with victims? Nothing. Except in somebody's irrational subjective brain. But you see, we can't just ignore it because we've turned everything into somebody's irrational subject brain. I have to mind read. I have to understand what you were. I can read your mind, know what you were doing it. And you claim you were doing it for. See, that's all meant to break down the system that we have, right? It doesn't have. They don't care about victims. These people don't care about what's going on here. They don't care about rape. They care about destroying the system. And folks, this is a poison pill, a cyanide pill to the system, really.
Through our work and will continue to do so.
Okay, completely irrelevant. I don't care. I just asked you a question. I didn't need your life story, Mila.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
Okay, that's all you needed to say. Frankly, you don't need to say anything. But if you need to say anything, say, hey, look, I wasn't here. I'm sorry, some of you misunderstood. I'm not really sure how you could, but let me just clarify it. I am not here to take a position on anything other than the family asked me, said, hey, you knew this guy for 25 years. Would you feel comfortable telling us the person you knew? Yes, I would. In fact, I would, and here's the person I know, and blah, 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 blah. End of story, F off. Okay, all you other people that think other stuff, F off. That's what it should have been, but no.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system.
How in the world, I mean, you question the legitimacy of the judicial system by participating in the judicial system with the rules that they have provided. They could easily have a rule of, I'm not going to listen to any outside testimony. And in fact, in certain instances, in different things, what they do.
Or the validity of the jury's ruling.
Again, we're just going to move on, folks. But this is just literal insanity that happened. And understand, if they can do it to two of the most famous people and two of the richest people on the planet, if they can have to, render under Caesar like hostages, what do you think they can do to you? Anyway, so here's Kathy Griffin, who later, again, folks, you can disagree with me if you want, okay, but you're just wrong. Okay, I just basically, that is the way it is. Here's Kathy Griffin. I really don't care what they were working on the 70s show. He was a good guy to work with, blah, 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 blah. So basically to her, she's not even going to buy the pseudo-fake apology, right? Which is, it's just unbelievable, but that just goes to show you the type of person Kathy Griffin is. Now, Kathy Griffin's a useless idiot because she doesn't know, I'm not going to say that, I can't use profanity, but she doesn't know anything about anything. But we've elevated people like her to a system where she comes in, and that is exactly what she was designed to do, right, is come in and just throw cold water on those people just basically going, hey, look, I mean, we just innocently were asked a question and answered it. We didn't mean to do all this other stuff. So anyway, all right, so now to a couple of 2 or 3 things in the regular news, and I'll be done. Looks like I'm not going to beat 20 minutes since I'm already 20 minutes in, but I will beat 40 for sure today. So folks, last week I think it was, Nancy Pelosi announced that she's going to run for re-election. Of course she is. Because the Democrat Party is not a political party. They're a cult. And they've been a cult for quite some time. Largely probably pre-Obama, but certainly post-Obama they have been. So why would she step down? I mean, they don't believe in the Constitution. Anytime you hear a Democrat mention Constitution, they're lying. Number 2, they certainly don't believe in government, other people, by the people, and for the people. No. It'll be government, quote unquote, whatever government means, of people like Pelosi. So why would she? She's royalty to them. She's treated like royalty. She believes she's royalty, and she treats us like we're peasants. It is what it is, folks. I don't like it either, but that's just the truth of the matter. So of course she's not going to retire, right? And part of the reason she's not going to retire is the belief system I just gave you, and then the other reason is, look, I mean, if this were a real job, if we return, and we might someday return to a constitutional republic, it would be hard work. You would have to go there, not be able to profit, set your own, if you're focusing on your day-to-day job, you're going to make more money than if you're not focusing on your day-to-day job, right? You're focusing on a job to service of other people, it's going to, even if they give you a salary, in most instances, you're going to lose money, right? And it's going to be a lot of hard work and a lot of tough decisions. And I've been in positions not like, Pelosi Speaker of the House and all like that. But I've had these positions where at your clubs or the various groups, or you're going through school and you're on law review and moot court and all this stuff. And I've taken these leadership positions because people asked, and they were like some of the hardest jobs I've ever had. I couldn't wait to give it up. I couldn't stand it. It's just like, I don't even want to be the one making these decisions. Why'd you people ask me to do this? But anyway, we don't do that. What it is for Pelosi is it's go up there, be treated like royalty, get to make money hand over fist, get to do whatever you want. You're on TV constantly. People worship the ground you walk on. Why would anybody ever leave that? Now, I wouldn't want it, even with those perks. I wouldn't want it, right? But people like Pelosi, they live for that. If you read, what's the Hayek book, The Road to Serfdom, which I highly recommend, he has, it basically was him breaking down why socialism and communism and fascism won't work. That was one of his reasons it won't work, is it attracts the wrong type of people. Right? The very people you want are the people that would be horrified by this system, right? They don't want it. Anyway, So here's Pelosi explaining something about something, and here's, again, what is fascinating to me and why I wanted to start the show off with the Jesse Waters and the Paul Krugmans. She just blatantly lies. Now, folks, I remember when the internet came about. I mean, I was in law school. It was 1994. I first started getting exposed to it. I had a friend on the Law Review that was very, very tech-savvy, incredibly tech-savvy guy. And he showed it to me, and I was like, oh, my God, this is great. This is going to be awesome. I mean, you can debunk people in real time now. And I really remember thinking this, that like lying was going to be a thing of the past because you'd be quickly debunked. It's actually gone the opposite. Now I understand why. Because lying doesn't have anything to do with the truth, right? It has to do with human psychology. That's why you're getting more of it. But listen to Nancy Pelosi talk about impeachment. And as you know, the Republicans are going to open an impeachment inquiry into Biden. So take a listen.
And Speaker Pelosi, Speaker McCarthy made the argument the other day that, well, Nancy Pelosi set this precedent. She waited a long time to have a vote on the first impeachment of Donald Trump. You did hold a vote, we should add, but he said you made the rules and he's just following them now by not holding this initial vote for an impeachment inquiry. What do you say to that?
Now, before Pelosi lies right through her teeth, I want to say this. McCarthy's full of it. I mean, he doesn't have to do what Pelosi did. I mean, Pelosi demonstrated that if there was ever any question. Not that there was. But she basically just made up whatever rules she wanted. I mean, she closed the Capitol down. She refused to open it. She formed unconstitutional January 6th committee. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on to how awful Nancy Pelosi was. But, McCarthy says, I'm just following her rules. Okay, I mean, it's a fair point. I don't think it gets us anywhere, but it's a fair point. But see, Pelosi, they're so petty, they're not even going to let you have that. Following my rule. I didn't do that. Anyway, so listen to what she had to say. By the way, Byron York went ahead and pulled the quotes. On September 24th of 2019, Pelosi said, today I'm announcing an official impeachment inquiry. Approximately a month later, right, she said there's no requirement that we have a vote, so at this time we will not be issuing a vote. 2 weeks later, on October 31st, 2019, today the House takes the next step forward in establishment of proceedings for an open. That's when they finally had the vote. So there you have it right there, that she established the committee just like McCarthy's doing on September 24th of 2019. It wasn't until 5 weeks later they had the official vote to open the hearings. Okay, that's how it worked, just like she said. Here we go, Pelosi, go ahead.
I say that that's hogwash. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I don't know why the press keeps repeating it. The fact is...
one thing to admire about Nancy Pelosi, I mean, you got to give her credit. I mean, she's just so over the top. Again, it's like, and I don't know why you keep repeating this. You bad little press people. Don't you know you're supposed to be on our team? And, this poor kid, you're looking at him, he looks like he's in his mid-30s. I mean, poor guy getting dressed down. I mean, he's sucking as hard as he can, and it's apparently not hard enough. But anyway...
We said we were going to, I assigned my committee chairs, 6 of them, to develop the facts, because you have to act upon the facts. That's a strange thing to say maybe around here, but you have to act upon the facts. We had a couple of weeks of doing that, a few weeks of doing...
Anyway, so folks, that's where we are on that. I don't really want to talk more about it, other than to say, look, the impeachment inquiry to Biden is late. It's way late. It's beyond late. We should have impeachment inquiries into 3 or 4 other people. Mayorkas to begin with, Garland, obviously. I mean, all of these people are just violating the Constitution. And frankly, the House, the Republicans are violating the Constitution, not open these impeachments. And I tell you something else that should be done. A couple of these Obama judges should be impeached as well. 1 or 2 of them. And again, I don't care whether they're removed, folks. We're beyond that. Let's go ahead and play the hand that we've been dealt. And that's what we should do. So, this whole, people are saying McCarthy's doing it because he's getting a rearguard action and they may move to vacate the chair and all this stuff. I don't care. At this point, he's way late. He needs to get to the party faster. So, one other little story out there before we get to Mitt Romney and 1 or 2 other things maybe is Kyle Cheney out there. I think he works for which one of the alphabets? It looks like it's Senior Politico. I could have sworn he was at NBC News. He must have moved over to Politico. But anyway, he works for the intelligence agencies. He's spreading propaganda. So his tweet came up in my feed this morning, and I want you to listen to this because this is something you've heard in the news already. You're going to hear more of it, and it's just complete nonsense. But it has a little bit of a nefarious undercurrent that you might not know about. Here it is right here. A reminder that Trump-era DOJ opinion that remains on the books, open quotation, and binds the Biden administration's response to impeachment subpoenas, close quotation, Any demands for info without a full House vote are treated as invalid. And what they're saying here is that when Pelosi pulled the stunt she pulled in 2019 to falsely and fraudulently impeach President Trump, that she didn't have a vote. So then Trump's DOJ, right? I don't think Bill Barr was running it then, but Bill Barr was running it then. He said, look, well, here we were going to tell you right now, as the executive department, we do not find subpoenas issued by a impeachment inquiry that has not been voted on by the House to be invalid. Now, folks, honestly, I don't have enough time right off the top of my head to say whether that's true. I would typically have said pre the January 6th fraudulent, unconstitutional January 6th committee that would have been correct. After the committee, and you're now letting the committee issue subpoenas and Biden's DOJ is enforcing them, I don't really think that makes any sense. But here's the nefarious undercurrent that really should horrify you, and the Biden administration's response. Okay, how? I mean, if you believe that, that's literally a grade school comment. I mean, we elect a new president. Now, we all know Biden wasn't elected. At this point, if you don't think there was cheating in the 2020 election, then I don't know what to tell you. Obviously, he didn't win the election. But he is the president, and that's just the way it is. So he or she can do whatever they want. That's the whole point of electing the Article 2 executive branch. That's the whole point. They can do whatever they want. That's how we do it as an American people. And if we don't like it, we can vote them out. And if they break the law, we can impeach them and vote them out. But that's it. Or I suppose they could die. But anyway, this idea that somehow they're bound by that. And look, folks, if they're stupid enough to run that by the American people, I think that'll be good for us. But this is the type of stuff they do, and they get a 2-for-1 special because they're gonna cynically go, oh, I would love to honor your subpoenas, but we can't honor your subpoenas because of this Trump era thing that says, and it's still on the books. Well, why don't you just take it off the books? Oh, we can't do that. Oh, well then why did you do it for COVID? Why did you do it for the CDC? Why did you do it for the eviction moratorium? Oh, well, those were different. Oh, how were they different? Well, one occurred on a Tuesday and the other one occurred on the next Tuesday. And see, they weren't the same Tuesday. And it's like, there is no logic with fascism, folks. That's the whole point of it. Anyway, so Mitt Romney is out there. He's not going to run for re-election, which, funny to me, Romney is exactly what's wrong and has been wrong with the Republican Party for quite some time. And I'll tell you why. Let me try and think if I can say anything decent about Mitt Romney. Let me see. I can't. And if I can't, nobody can, because I can think of just about anything to defend anybody. I'm the type of lawyer that could go to the morning to argue on behalf of the railroad and then cross the same judges in the afternoon to argue on behalf of the worker. It's easy for me to think of arguments, and I can think of none for Mitt Romney. He's awful to the core. And among the awfulness of Mitt Romney is this, okay? It's bad enough he's been a terrible top politician. It's bad enough he's been played and he's been a loser several times. That's fine. That I could live with. I could also live with the fact that he sees a different vision for the Republican Party than I do. I'd like to see the Republican Party, or some party, be a true constitutional party. That doesn't exist out there. That's fine. Okay, but you know what? The Republican Party is not what I want. I don't unnecessarily bash the party either. And here you have Mitt Romney, who you're going to see for the next weeks. If you look at my Twitter feed today, there's some out already. There's more coming about things that Mitt Romney said. And they're just literally out the door. It's literally a flamethrower. It's like the type of person that leaves, like just quits, resigns, decides, hey, I don't want to work anymore. It's fine. Take this job and shove it. Okay, we got it. All right. And then outdoors, hey, you. Hey, over in the corner. F you. And by the way, screw you, dude. You suck. And I never liked you either. And it's like, hey, whoa, chill, man. Just leave. Just leave. You don't have to say anything. Just wait. I mean, you may run into these people again. And I understand you're upset, but, just keep it to yourself. No, not Romney. Out the door, he goes to the Atlantic. Now, folks, you know what the Atlantic is. The Atlantic is a hit piece. All it does 24/7, 365 is trash the country. Right? And it is. It's evil. They want America to be a fascist communist regime. That's what they want. That's the dream they have for America. Okay? If you go to the Atlantic, you're not going to get anything other than bashing of Republicans. And that's exactly what Romney's farewell address is. It's, hey, you didn't love me enough. F you. You suck. Right? It's Liz Cheney, it's Adam Kinzinger. At least with Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, when you look at them, if you look at their eyes, and I'm not trying to mind read, I'm not trying to be a psychiatrist, but you see something's not right. There's something that's gone wrong, especially with Kinzinger. I mean, I don't know if it's post-traumatic disorder or something like that, but there's something wrong there. Romney has had a very blessed life. It's like the idea of the French, the noblesse oblige. You have an obligation to be noble, given your birth that you've had. And he can't bother to do that, right? And so that's the type of person that the Republican Party can't get far enough away from fast enough. But I want to leave you with this for a little bit of history. One of the things back in the day before I figured out what Romney was, and you didn't figure it out, it's like the old Maya Angelou, the first time a person shows you who they truly are, believe them. It took me about 15 times for me to believe Romney. He tried, but I kept saying, well, he did save the Olympics. Well, I mean, he was a governor in a blue state when it was hard to do that. It was my own fault. But when he ran for president, and he, lost a very winnable election. And part of the reason he lost it is for the very reason Trump won it. Romney didn't get it. He just didn't get it. And the other thing, it's what is it the great black novelist Richard Wright said? Sometimes it's enough to understand that you don't understand. Right? Romney should have just said, I don't get this. Can somebody try to explain it to me? You can find somebody who maybe can explain it to me. No. He couldn't be bothered. Couldn't be bothered at all. Right? But anyway, I'll tell you this. When he was running, and, he was this good, honorable, decent Republican and all this stuff, He was, okay, great, whatever, you're going to run that. Didn't work out, fine. But when he did, just like they do, and I say this to all these people that want to get rid of Trump, got to get rid of Trump, can't win with Trump, even though the numbers suggest that you can win with Trump. Okay, and you can win. You got a better chance of winning with Trump than anyone else. I don't want to get into it. The basic answer is this, and I'm sorry, folks. I wish I knew this. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Okay, Trump brings out Republicans that won't come out to vote unless he's on the ballot. Period. End of story. That is a fact. You can not like it. I don't like it either. They will not come out for Romney. They will not come out for McCain. They will come out for Reagan. They will come out for Trump. They will come out for Perot. But they're not coming out for the Mitt Romneys of the world. Sorry. They ain't coming out for DeSantis. Okay. Second problem, you Ben Shapiro, Eric Erickson, you've got out there is, okay, I get it. Trump, they've branded him. They've destroyed him. Okay. Your argument that we'll be better off with DeSantis or with Nikki Haley or whatever is apparently they can't brand them. They can. And folks, they have. They always do it. And it's like, Ben, Eric, how many times they got to pull the football before you morons realize the football's not going to be there when your leg and you go falling through the air? And how do I know that? Mitt Romney. I mean, you could say a lot about Mitt Romney, but they turned him into Hitler too. And here is then vice president running against him doing just that. But Joe Biden, folks, the person who the Democrats, if they had any soul, they lost it when they nominated, quote unquote, selected this person. Take a listen to him talking about Mitt Romney.
Look at what they value and look at their budget and what they're proposing. Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Bunch of black people in the audience there, and Vice President Joe Biden says Romney gonna put y'all back in chains. And remember the binders of women that Romney had, right? Remember all that, folks? It's just unbelievable he would do that. So I was gonna try to finish up under 40, and I am, but I'm gonna just do one more story for the heck of it. I went this long anyway. So we have the latest article we have at greatamericanmail.substack.com, greatamericanmail.substack.com. Remember, it's MAIL, not MALE. Is a piece about the 14th Amendment, and we've written about the 14th Amendment. I think this is like the 5th or 6th article that we have out there. And if you're watching on Twitter or on the YouTube or Rumble later, please, by the way, hit the Rumble button, subscribe. Same thing with Twitter and YouTube as well, assuming I didn't get kicked off today, which I might, because I don't think that's illegal what I said anymore, but it might be. But anyway, so the 14th Amendment has a clause in it, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, that says that if you had engaged in a rebellion or insurrection or gave aid or comfort to someone who had, that you're disqualified from running for any political office. Now, that's been used in the past to try and prevent people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz from running. And long story short, because I do want to stay under 40 minutes, there's a lot of arguments that doesn't apply. One is that they were referring to the Civil War, not just any insurrection or any rebellion, right? They were talking about Civil War. Number two, Section 5 says that, Congress is authorized to pass laws to enforce this. No, they've never done it. There's no law in the books, period, end of story. So that'd be another argument against it generally having any application, okay? They also says that Congress can relieve the disability. They did it twice in the aftermath of the Civil War. So that would also be. But the one that's really critical here is they're trying to use it to prompt Trump. And I'm going to read the first sentence of the 14th Amendment. If you're watching on the YouTube or the Rumble, you can see it here. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress, or elector of president or vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state. Okay? Let me tell you how you senator, representative in Congress, elector of the president or vice president, so those are the electors that meet on January 6th, right? Or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States, right? So when they name specific people, right, and then they say, or hold any office under civil or military, you understand that to mean, well, these specific people were named, but if you were not as part of the specific people named, then that doesn't apply to you, right? And then the or hold any office, right? You've got Lawrence Tribe and the rest of the frauds out there, Judge Ludwig, all these people saying, oh, well, it applies to Trump because it says or hold any office, civil or military, and the president is an office. By the way, it's not, and I may cover that tomorrow, or I may do a follow-up article. The president is not an office of the United States. That's just idiocy. I mean, it is. I'm sorry. It's just outright frivolous, moronic idiocy if you understand the Constitution, right? And I've said this before on the show. There's only one office in the federal government that is elected by the people of the United States, and that's the president. So it's not an office of the United States. It's a wholly separate, different office, but whatever. Setting that aside, they expect you to believe this. They expect you to believe, well, we name senators, yeah, but we name Congress people, yeah, and we name electors to the president or the vice president, yeah. All right, yeah, but where's the president cover? Why didn't you just say you can't be elected president, senator, congressperson, or elector, or Supreme Court justice? Oh, well, we just decided we put that in any office, civil or military, in the United States. Well, then, okay, why do you need senator or representative? Well, we just thought we'd highlight them. Well, why wouldn't you highlight the most powerful position in the federal government? Well, we like them. We just ought to shout that out. It's obvious. It's like these morons. Again, this is why you need history. You don't really need the Constitution for this one. You can read the article, by the way. It's the latest post at our Substack page, greatamericanmail.substack.com. And you can see the article and subscribe up there if you want. We're trying to get back to doing weekly articles. But this is the type of idiocy they've been pushing for a long time. And I should have said this earlier, but that's why I think we're getting closer to the bottom here. They've reached a point now where they're having to make, this Trump stuff, this Biden stuff, they're to the point now where they have to make arguments that are so moronic that you're literally dumber having listened to them. The 30 seconds of listening, you literally lose IQ points. This is so freaking stupid that someone like Lawrence Tribe would have to demean himself to this point. He ought to just pull a Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And again, I'm not a big fan of Ruth. But Ruth is up there. There's Obama, there's Oprah, there's Michelle. Oh my God, she's, they're all up there. Ruth's right there. She's like the second tier right on them. They love her. And so they tried to pass the Equal Rights Amendment. It had like a 25-year statute. It didn't get it. And then Virginia, I'm still sad that Virginia is this way because I have a great amount of respect for the state of Virginia, but it is what it is. It's gone. May never come back. But anyway, so a few years ago, in a stunt, the state of Virginia finally said, oh, yeah, we're going to ratify the ERA. Well, yeah, you're about 50 years late, but whatever. Nice stunt. Have a good one. And so everyone's like, oh, that's the 37th state. It's now ratified. And they are all talking about how they've been ratified. It was just idiocy. Again, it's the kind of crap that's laughable. And they went to Ruth, and God bless her for saying that. She literally was like, find something else to do. I found something to do during my time. You can find something too. Go ahead. And they were all like, Ruth said we're wrong, and she walked away, but it was good. Because she kind of put the kibosh on that nonsense. So you'd think Tribe would be doing this, going, first off, I don't know that it applies at all, but if it applies, it doesn't apply, for whatever reason, to the president, to the Supreme Court justices, right? Doesn't apply to them, right? Or the cabinet. Now, I don't know why they decided to do that. Maybe they figured, well, we're not going to let those rebels be electors to the president and vice president, so we'll control presidency. And because the Senate has to approve it and we're not going to allow them to be senators, then we'll control getting on the Supreme Court or being a cabinet member. I have no idea. I tried to research it, but it's hard to research those things, and these articles take a couple hours to put together as it is. So anyway, just thought I'd run through that. You've probably been seeing it out there. The 14th Amendment, Section 3 does not likely apply to any office out there. None of them. Even the ones that are delineated. You can read the article if you want to figure out the reason why it doesn't apply to anybody. But the people we know it does not apply to are the presidency. And you should wonder is, why is it they're making such a weak argument, right? And why is the party that believes in democracy? I almost chuckle every time they claim they believe in democracy. It's just fascinating. When we believe in democracy while we're in the midst of trying to destroy democracy is sort of humorous. But anyway, you're now all caught up to date with all the news of the day. And if you enjoyed this live stream /podcast, I hope you tune back in tomorrow.